The mind, of course, appears in many ways. It can appear in a quite sickening way to that empathetic quality of mind. Meaning, it matters not what takes place in your life, even what the mind, the ego, understands it as good or bad, because you're going to get shocked. It may be a very slow, deliberate, aware shock that lasts many months, many years. It may be like that Christ 40 days and 40 nights in the forest shock, which is not really a shock to the body and the system, because it's got 40 days and 40 nights in our time-based world to fully regain some sort of holding on to the shock. But you're going to get shocked. Jesus Christ had many followers, but not enough to get that pure mind to stand up and confront what Jesus Christ was speaking about. Only a few on the way. Only a few in a specific country. Hence why Jesus Christ travelled to India, to many places within Europe and possibly the Far East, to try and get as many followers as possible. But not followers into it's my way. Followers into the truth, into the way that's saying, you know what? It's not about what Christ says. It's about standing up to confront your biggest fear. I will die. I will die, and there will be no more of me. And Jesus says, you find your true self, you find your soul, your spirit, you find the truth, you find your Father, you find God. And in this discovery, in this journey of searching, there is no death. Because you were alive when you left the Father, and when you return, you will be alive when you discover your Father. That's what was behind Christ's words. To say that you're not a mortal body and temporary quality of mind, you're an immortal being. You're an immortal consciousness. But it wasn't Christ's teachings, Christ's healings, Christ's seeking to discover more and more followers, listeners, that really made anyone stand up, or all stand up, to confront their biggest fear. It was the shock of seeing Christ on the crucifix. Had Christ not put himself, which is what happened, volunteered to go up, could have said, could have obeyed what the Jews or the kings and the queens wanted Christ to say, that you are a blasphemous. Come down, continue on your way, go on your merry way and teach and do what you want, same as everyone else. No, Christ said, no, I will not reconcile what I've said. I will not be genuine. I'm willing to sacrifice my body, my soul, my mind, and everything, because of the love I have and the devotion I have for my Father. So it was the shock of Christ on the cross that made people say, wow, what's going on? This one was not only a healer, different from the two convicts on either side of Christ, but this one, if this one was a healer and this one was superior, why would this one take its own life? To shock you into confronting the truth about yourself. Because Christ said, all is one. I am not God's only child. Everyone is God's child. How far can you go? You see? How far can you go before you're going to be confronted by this spirit that is never ever any place else other than within you? You cannot lose the Spirit. You cannot fight the Spirit off. You cannot deny the Spirit, because you are born from the same Spirit. The same bloodline. The same human God as Christ was. It is measured in an ego way that a shock only lasts a particular second, nanosecond, maybe 2 seconds, most. And it is the recovery of the shock that is classed as separate from the shock. It's a recovery, but the shock is going on. The shock of enlightenment does not happen and then, oh my God, I'm enlightened and the 7 years is a recovery. No, there's no recovery. The enlightenment has to take its own shape. Same as the shock of Christ on the cross for each individual took its own shape. Oh my God, grief. Worship. Praise that a human form can sacrifice its body, its existence, for something that I don't know about. And all the time Christ was saying, yes, you do know about it. You're just ignorant. You've been fooled. G. Krishnamurti, like this speaker, like Eckhart Tolle, like thousands of others, there's no little exceptions to the rules that there's only a few, experienced this shock. It may have taken on 40 days, 40 nights. It may have taken on 7 years of trying to recover, but we're still in shock. Because this shock, scientists call the Big Bang, is still echoing. It's such a colossal bang that the boom is echoing for centuries and may never stop echoing. But this shock is ongoing. It's like the hurricane or the tornado that comes. You look at it and you see it and you run away from it. That's the only way to evade it. Because you're not going to walk into a tornado. Not even Christ would walk into a tornado, because there's no final farewell in front of the crowds below. But the tornado is another reflection of this shock. Run. You may run away. It may take you 2 days. It may take you 2 minutes. But you never recover. You never recover the shock of losing a loved one. You never recover from the shock of being in a car crash. You never recover from the shock of being born. We call it trauma nowadays. But the most worthwhile shock is the shock when you see that true love that Christ was essentially revealing. When you see through that there are no differences between stability and movement, there are no differences between man and woman, there are no differences between black and white, there are no differences between pain and pleasure, you'll see that a shock is just as good as no shock. And that actually all of this is a shocking sensation that is appearing beautiful and depressing. Each fluctuation is above and below the line that Christ speaks about. God, contentment, pure consciousness, tranquil, infinite, limitless, boundless, now. One moment is what this speaker, is the voice that this speaker experienced. One moment. All doubts, hopes and beliefs and fears disappeared. And only God, only consciousness, only Spirit, only Christ, only Buddha, only that what has reflected this pure, infinite peace and tranquility. The placid lake of beingness, of consciousness, is the root of where the shock stemmed from. Scientists will tell you, before the Big Bang, there had to be a moment of everything collecting, and then this force of the moment is. One moment is. That's what this one was given. 3 words. One moment is. Is being the maple, I, stability, axis, permanence. S, the ribbons, consciousness, movement, life, essence, love. One moment, all became alive. And in this shock that you are experiencing right now, of being whatever it is your mind says that you're being, a person, a name, a body, a form, an object, a soul, a spirit, whatever your mind is saying you are right now, is coming to terms with this shock. But be prepared. Be prepared for the shock that's coming from truth.